All right, guys, let's get started. So I only have 30 minutes, but I have a lot of slides to cover. So yeah, there's lots of seats available, guys. Have a seat anywhere. So today we're going to talk about how you can double or even triple your sales using minor tweaks within your listing. And I'm not joking when I say minor tweaks and double your sales. I'm going to actually show you some data, some proofs, how you can make those strategic changes within your listing, which has the potential to double, triple, quadruple your sales. So uh, today we're going to talk about AI super agent that I personally use every single day, and we're also going to talk about some main image strategies. But in the end, we're going to talk about some conversion frameworks. So if you guys don't know me, in the last 7 years, I have worked on 2,000 plus listings that have generated over 7 figures in annual revenue. And I'm also the CEO and founder of AMZ One Step, partner at Kenji ROI. These are creative agencies where we help Amazon sellers increase click-through rate, conversion rate, and we have created more than 200,000 Amazon images. I'm not talking about white background images. I'm talking about actual lifestyle infographic images. I'm also a member of Forbes Agency Council. I've spoken at many Amazon conferences. I'm an Amazon seller myself. I've been selling on Amazon for 8 years. I'm not telling you to brag, because the reason I'm telling you all this, because all the strategies that I'm going to share with you, they're all coming from years and years of experiments and data that we have collected, and thousands of managed experiments that we have run for Seller Central. So let's start with customer avatar. So we have worked with, I don't know, maybe more than 6,000 brands, and none of them has ever come to us and said, hey, Kamal, here's my customer avatar, build a listing for me. People know their target audience, but they don't know the customer avatar, who exactly is buying their product. So what a customer avatar report looks like, it's something like this. And here's an example. So a seller came to me and he was selling plastic cups, without the lids or without the straws. So it's a strawless plastic cups. He came and he was like, hey, Kamal, design a listing for me. So when I looked at the competitors, I looked at, the first competitor, second competitor, 5 competitors, 10 competitors, 15 competitors. Every single competitor, they were all generic images. How many times you have seen those images where it says, eco-friendly, ergonomically designed, it's durable, it's waterproof, it's vegan, it's BPA free, it's FDA approved. These are all generic terms which are true to all your competitors. No listing was speaking with the actual customer avatar. When we did the research, when we built the customer avatar, we found out the people who were buying the plastic cups, they had a financial pressure. They did not want to spend $5 to $7 every single morning at the Starbucks. Right? So that was the main reason they were buying this. No listing was talking about that. They didn't want to spend 10, 15 minutes every morning at the drive-through. No listing image was talking about this. They wanted to look more stylish. No listing was talking about this. So when you build a customer avatar, that's where you get like lots and lots of insights. So here's an example. So it's a vehicle GPS tracker, and what seller thought fleet management was buying their product. That was like 19% of the people. But when we read the reviews, it was actually parents for the teen drivers who were buying this product. So the whole market customer when your customer avatar shifts, your marketing strategy also is shifted. So you can find the top pain points, or you can find the key motivation factors, what exactly, why exactly people are buying your product. Here's another example. So this is Cushion Gel. This is one of our clients. And when we read the reviews, there were like multiple customer avatars. There's Sarah, who's an office worker. She's buying this, she's willing to pay $40 to $60 for the same product. And you talk about Lisa, who's a traveler, she can only spend, $20 to $40. So the ability for people to pay is different based on your customer avatar. So it's really important. And your product features, they're also not equally important, to different avatars. For example, the cooling layer gel, it's very important for the office worker, but it's not that important for the traveler who's Lisa. So it's super important you build your customer avatar. And how do you do that? There's a tool that we use, listingoptimization.ai. It's a free tool. Put your keyword, put your ASIN, and it will read all those reviews and build a very detailed customer avatar for you. When you build this avatar, everything is downhill from there. You can share it with your marketing team. You can share it with your designers. You can share it with your agency. It's so much easier. Your listing is so much better. So that was the AI super agent that I use. Now let's talk about the CTR, the main image strategies. So there are different factors. This is basic, you probably know this. There's multiple factors which are responsible for increasing your click-through rate. I assume everybody knows what click-through rate is. So there's different factors: product title, your main image, badges, reviews. So the only thing that you control which has the highest impact is your main image, because badges are given by the Amazon. Product title, it's mainly for the keywords. Price is market dependent. Coupons, you can do that. There's so many factors, but the biggest factor is your main image. And how do you improve your main image? So these are the strategies we're going to talk about. But first, let's understand the risk versus reward. Many sellers, they talk about, they're like, hey man, I don't want to risk my main image. This Amazon would suspend this image. A lot of sellers, they never test their main images just because they think something like this would never pass the Amazon suppression test. So what I always like to start with, always have 3 main images ready. One is a basic, super Amazon compliant. One is a little bit of in the medium range, and one is where you're pushing the boundaries a bit. So this is top supplement brands on Amazon. And the reason I'm showing you this, that the top brands, the #1 supplement brands on Amazon is using the exact same strategy. So it's just, it's in our head that Amazon would suppress my image. So I highly recommend that you push your boundaries. So here's a test we ran on Product Pinion. Obviously the one with the, more risky image got like highest votes. And I want you to look at the losing image. There's only one image which is perfectly Amazon compliant, and it has only got 1 vote. So if you want to play within the safe boundaries, this is, you can do this, but you're not going to get extra clicks. If you want extra clicks, you need to play around within these strategies, and which are almost acceptable by Amazon. So what are some of those strategies? The strategy number, before I go to the strategy, so here's an example. So if you're thinking that, hey Kamal, how can I think of different main image ideas? I only have one product. So I was sitting down, on a weekend, I created this example. I took an apple as a product, and I was like, how many main images I can just create for the same product? It's an apple, and there's nothing much you can do. But still, there are so many different images you can do for the same product. If you're thinking that you have tested enough, that's not true. There's so many other things you can try. So what are some of these strategies? #1 is the label it strategy. So here we have added 25-gram protein on the label and unflavored keyword, and the click share almost doubled. Data coming from brand analytics, unflavored protein powder. So this is called a label it strategy. Label it strategy basically means you add your product's main feature or benefit on the product label itself, even if that label in reality exists or not. Gorilla Grip, one of my favorite brands on Amazon, and they are the masters of using this strategy. What they do, they obviously create a fake label around the product, and logistically speaking, product is not shipped like this. It's a fake label. But what they have done, they have added their unique selling proposition, their benefit keyword, and it helps in the Rufus optimization as well. So Dude Wipes, one of the top emerging brands, they're also using the exact same strategy. Thrasio, Angry Orange, same strategy. Here's Made in USA badge using a label strategy. 70% extra sales were generated. Here's a manager experiment. And this is something very recent. I shared this on my LinkedIn, and I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks old data. Just by adding this main benefit, got like 12%, almost 12% extra sales increase, just by making a minor change. $67,700 in like 2 weeks, and this was only imagine if you do like for full year, this is almost like very close to $200,000 extra in sales. Old Spice, a big brand, they're also using the exact same strategies. So this is the #1 strategy. If you're not using it, I highly recommend after this conference, go to your designers, go to your agency, and have them implement this strategy. Second one you can do is use a model strategy. Ron Williams, one of our clients, click share went from 10% to almost 20% on push-up machine just by adding the model. And you can also do it for like simple products. You can also do it for the complicated products. Here's another image. where we use the model strategy and the sales were double. So the reason I'm showing you this slide, look for all the empty space on your product packaging or on the main image over here. Like, we changed the model, but we found a dead spot in the model's t-shirt, and we added a label over here. And look at the manage experiment results. So sales went up significantly. If you have different variations in your main image, try something like this. Show your product variation as a smaller product in the background, and this is how your all variations would look like, because only one of your variation is going to be ranking in the search results. So if you no matter which one is it, it will always be cross-selling your other variations. Here's another example of showing different colors or different variations in the main image. So the next one is one of my personal favorite strategies. Okay, so this is what I call a Kaizen strategy. So the question that you always ask yourself is, can I improve this image? And the answer is always yes. So look at this image. This is pure white background, high quality shot at an angle, but can this be improved? The answer is yes. Now you look at a 3D rendered shot of it. It looks a lot cleaner, right? Can this be improved? The answer is yes. Now you have an eye candy effect on the image. It looks a lot better in the search SERP page. But can this be improved? The answer is yes. Now you top it up with the label it strategy. You add your unique selling proposition, your main keyword, whatever. But can this be improved? The answer is yes. So you keep asking yourself the same question over and over again, and you will have a different answer. Because 2 months down the road, the entire search page is going to look exactly the same, and the competitors are they're gonna copy your style. So if you want to be the leader, in the Amazon space, you always have to keep improving. Showing product from different angles. If you have a product, which can be shown from different angles, try that. Because imagine if you were not showing 2 images of these products, would you be doing it justice, right? Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought that was a timer for me. Okay, I thought, all right. So imagine, so you were only showing this from one side of your one side of the picture. You would not be doing it justice. So example I can give you, I was in Lisbon speaking to a good friend of mine. He was selling a female dress, right? He was only showing the front side of the dress, and he asked me, hey Kamal, what can I do? It's a clothing category. There's nothing much I can do. I was like, hey, you know what? Try the front side of the dress and the back side of the dress in the main image. So he did that. 2 weeks later, he called me. He's like, Kamal, my CTR is down. I'm like, no problem. Go back to the original image. And he was like, no, Kamal, but my sales went up. I was like, how is that possible? Because his irrelevant traffic decreased. The main image's job is not only to increase your traffic, it is also to decrease the irrelevant traffic. Because when your irrelevant traffic goes down, your conversion goes up. When your conversion goes up, your PPC ads are a lot more profitable. Your ranking goes up. There's like it's a halo effect that happens just from changing the main image alone. So we did a poll within our team. We have 3 different design teams. So team A created option A, then B and C, and we were like, okay, which image? Our client really liked option number A. It's cleaner. It's better. We personally liked option number B because it had the product packaging. But people who have the credit card in their hand and they're ready to spend money, they think differently. They wanted to look at the close-up of the product, and they wanted to see the cushion. So it's always how it's mind-blowing how people think and how you as a brand owner think and how your designers and agency owners are thinking. So I highly recommend that you always test it out. So showing close-ups is also one of the things that you can show on your products. This is a two-second rule. Show your main image to 5 strangers and ask for for 2 seconds and ask them, hey, what do you think of it? If they can't explain, your main image is too busy. Here's an experiment before and after. We made the product bigger. It passed the 2-second rule, and ran a managed experiment. The results were crazy. Sales went up. If your product is boring, if your product does not have a lot of color, try using artificial colors just like this one. If your product comes in the product packaging, show a product packaging in the background. It will win every single time in the Amazon search results. Here's an example, using gift packaging, fake gift packaging, topping it up with the label it strategy that I initially showed you. Sales went up. Here's a manager experiment screenshot. Um, these strategies you can layer, you can mix them up together. If you have a gift box, you can also use the label it. You can also show, maybe the props or variations. It's not like, you only have to go with one. You can mix and match together. You can also show 3D renders. If your product has a lot of accessories, make sure they're nicely laid out. What used to work in the past is something like this. What works now is something like this, okay? You can also show your product in action. So these were like different main image strategies that I shared. So I'm pretty sure some of these would be relevant to you, that you can go to your agency or partner and have them design it for you. Here's one more example. JJ Care, a random brand on Amazon, competing with big brand Pacifica, just because they're showing product in action. They won with a decent margin. And that's the beauty of Amazon, that you can compete with those top brands if you know what you're doing. And now I'm going to share, these were all different strategies, but now I'm going to share my SOP, how I like to create images. Whenever somebody comes to me, hey Kamal, I want to improve my main image, I tell them, most Amazon sellers, they would create 1 or 2 or maybe maximum 3 main images and call it a day. Like, oh yeah, I'll test and see if it works. That's not the right approach. What I want you to do, think of all random ideas that could potentially, be a part of your main image. Take a look at what your competitors are doing. Take a look at, because when you think, it's different. When you put your thinking in a visual format and you take a look in front of you, it's totally different. Okay, so I want you to make a collage of at least 10 to 12 different main images, and now spot the factors which are standing out. Maybe this orange badge has been standing out a lot. Maybe this powder has been standing out a lot. Maybe this label is better, right? So you make so many changes and you come up with the final version. You find the winning things from like each module, and then you create your next image. Once you have your almost finalized image, then you go and test different callouts. Here, like, it's a 42-day supply, 90-day satisfaction guarantee. So different callouts. Then you go to product opinion and test them out. Once you have the winner, you take that winner and then you go to manage your experiment. Okay. So once you find a winner through manage your experiment, that's when you have a good main image. But what if your main image loses? You're not going to get perfect result all the time. So if your main image does lose in the managed experiment, this is what I want you to do. So you try to isolate the problem. Okay, so all the changes now, in the first experiment you have done like 20 different changes and you expect it to work and it doesn't work, and you're like, okay, what the hell did I do? Like, should I go to my original image? No, you should isolate the problem. Okay, so maybe in the first one you change the bottle shape. Okay, test that out. In the second one, maybe you change the label, you test that out. Third one, maybe you added a hang tag, test that out. If you added a powder, maybe remove that, isolate that, and just keeps going on and on until you isolate the actual problem and find your winning image. Most people, they have a losing experiment. They're like, okay, this is not for me. I'm going to move on to the next thing. Okay, so this is the visual mock-up that I always make when I'm creating the main images. So different variations. So what I want you to do, make a collage, something like this, and this is our product. Okay. Now we're visually stimulating. It's a visual stimulation which is also available in product opinion. But this is what we do. We manually build it out, and we take a look, see which main image is standing a lot. Right. So okay, for example, this one stands out. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, this is blending in with the search results. It's not going to perform better. Okay, this is also so, but maybe this one stands out. And when we found the winner, in 3 weeks, extra $12,000 were generated in managed experiment, and it's 3 weeks. And when only the image was live for 50% of the time, it was not live 100 all the time. So imagine after going live, the amount of revenue impact it's going to have. So this is my SOP for creating those main images. Okay, so I know I'm going fast. I only have like 10 minutes left, but we're going to quickly talk about conversion focused frameworks as well. Okay, those were all CTR, and now we're talking about CVR strategies. So one concept I always like to have in my secondary images is the visual references. Visual reference means having your product in reference to something that conveys your product features or benefit across. This is what, okay, so here's a visual reference of the visual reference, okay? So most, images on Amazon, they are like a theorem. What I want your main, images to be like a proof. Like imagine me trying to make you understand this theorem versus trying to make you understand this visual concept. It's a lot easier. That's exactly what we need to do in our secondary images. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're selling a food delivery bag and your feature is it's extra large. So you have two different options. Okay, one option is very traditional, which you can show like image dimensions, like, hey, it's 24 inches tall, 32 inches wide, whatever the dimensions are. This is a theorem approach. But this is a visual reference approach. You actually show how many extra large pizzas it can carry. Now, dimensions are irrelevant. Your customer avatar who's buying that product, like probably Uber Eats driver or DoorDash driver, now that person can instantly think, okay, I can carry extra pizzas now, I can carry extra food. Perfect, this is for me, right? So you take the mental work out. So how is that helpful for your listing? Studies have shown that the 65% of the information is retained if there's a relevant image compared to 10% without. And here's a great example. So it's a product which can clean the carpet and it can also clean the hard floor. So it's slowly gliding on from the hardwood to the carpet, and it can make your product understanding more from 70% to 95% if it's done correctly. It can also help in the solution-based selling. You probably have seen a lot of Facebook ads where they tell you that there's a problem which exists. They educate you on the problem first, and then they tell you that their product which solves that problem, and the buyer was not even aware that the problem actually existed. So this is an air purifier. So now what they're saying is like you can sleep next to it. And maybe the person who was buying this product, they never even thought of this problem. But if you use the visual reference, it works like 60% more buyers, they complete their the orders when the problem is identified. Bestsellers, they're also using visual references. One leg tan, the other leg is untanned. Big brands like Bounty, they're also using the exact same strategies. Okay. Anchor, one of my favorite brands on Amazon, they use exact same visual reference strategies. So imagine explaining 58% smaller just with the text. It doesn't work. They have actually used visual reference of the actual product and said 58% smaller. If you look at Anchor listings, at least 2 of their images have visual reference. Now let's take a look at some more examples. The feature is lightweight, and there's a young lady, she's carrying the product with just one hand, right? Even better if she was going upstairs or downstairs with one hand. So the lightweight feature, it just speaks out for itself. No drip, nipple design, it's tilted, but the milk is not coming out. Anchor, once again, they're showing the compatibility, the other products in the background, but the focus remains on the product. This is also one of my favorite images. The reason why, because they're not showing product dimensions. They are using model height as a visual reference. So they have taken average male height 5'11", female 5'4", and they've shown how the product actually looks to them as opposed to their product, right? So here's another example. Each shelf and each hook, they have put a weight on this. It's actually a great visual reference, without even telling about the numbers, and even the height, they have compared it with the model. It helps in returns as well. If you have great images, your returns, will be so much lesser. Now, lastly, let's talk about some conversion factors. This is mainly for your lifestyle images, okay? So there's 3 different things or elements that I want to have in my lifestyle images. First is the extreme emotion. Second is extreme conditions. And lastly, the extreme use. So if your images, lifestyle images, do not have this, they are weak lifestyle images, okay? So let's say you're selling an anti-slip bathroom mat, okay? So your benefit is that it protects you from slipping. Now, think of the most extreme emotion which could be a part of this image. Anti-slip bathroom mat, the feature is it protects you from slipping. Maybe a pregnant lady carrying a baby inside her tummy and she's just stepping on, onto the anti-slip bathroom mat. It has to be safe. It's extreme emotional, right? Or maybe a baby, stepping onto that product. Or the second one is the extreme conditions. Let's say you're selling a vacuum cleaner. The feature is that it cleans the carpet. Now think of the most extreme condition. That extreme condition may be a very messy home with multiple dogs, and there's a dog hair all over the place, and it's like perfectly cleaning it. It's an extreme condition. If you have that kind of image, lifestyle image, it converts like really well. For example, a waterproof camera in a stormy night, right? So next one is extreme use case. Let's say you're selling a vehicle GPS tracker. Show that in maybe in the Rocky Mountains somewhere where the connectivity is very low, right? That's the extreme use case. Here's a makeup remover. It's like it's an extreme use. Like it's showing no particle which is left behind. So just to recap, I know there was a lot. We have covered CTR strategies. We have covered infographics, the visual reference strategies, and also in the lifestyle ingredient, which is the extreme emotions, use case, and conditions. And you know what? Where the magic happens? When you combine these strategies with your PPC. Most people think of their creatives only till the listing, but when you combine this with your PPC, the results are so much better. The reason why traditional PPC agencies fail to produce results because they focus only on traffic. They don't focus on conversions, right? And they can only change the targeting. They cannot change the CTR. They can run video ads for you, but they cannot create videos. So the creatives and PPC, it's just one thing. It's form of advertising. So when the magic happens when you combine these strategies and get results like this. Okay, the ACoS cut in half without even touching the PPC campaigns. And these results went so much up. CTR, was 80, new orders, new customers were 87% new brands, and then went up to 92.5. The CTR almost 4 times. I don't know why this slide messed up. It was 0.16 before, and then it went up to 0.57. Same thing over here. This CTR is like 4 or 5 times, and you look at the number of units sold. So the magic happens when you combine this together. So I only have like 3 minutes. If you have any questions, I would love to take that. If you want to speak with me or someone from my team, you can go to amzonestep.co or scan this QR code. Book a call with me, and would love to chat. So yeah, what is ideas? Yeah. So I still have less than 3 minutes. If there's any questions, I would love to take those. Yes.
We have a similar process at our company. I was constantly listening. Curious, like, what's your SOPs? Do you have your designer or freelance go into your Solar Central account to look the experiments, or you do it and coordinate these secret stuff?
So at our company, we have customer success managers. They handle the client communication, and they also take care of running the Seller Central experiments and everything. And then they communicate with the designers separately. But our account managers takes care of the running the experiments over and over again. That's how, if that answers your question.
You ever find it difficult that the design team sometimes doesn't understand a t-shirt season navigating apps on Seller Central and what does it get?
Yeah, it's the filter is by our CSMs. They have a really good idea what will be accepted, what will not be accepted, and then we do like a lot of changes between our design team and CSM teams. Once CSM approves it, that's when they upload that to Seller Central or run manage experiment. If the manage experiment doesn't accept that image, we go back, isolate the same process that I showed you. We isolate the problem, where exactly the problem was, fix that, and then re-upload that image. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Sure.
Sorry. My question is, do you have any advice around how you do your gig thing and that's just did by Amazon? I think it might have reached, that's part of the past question. But like, that's kind of pushing the boundaries, but as TOS bias, like, do you just try again? Like, how do you get us out?
That's a very good question. That's a really good question. So what happens is, I can try to explain with an example. Okay, so let's say you have a product packaging, right? Let's take this as an example. So this is a product that you're selling on Amazon, and you wanted to make, you wanted to use a label strategy. Let's say you want to add your keyword over here and to see if Amazon accepts that or not, right? So what we do is we take the Photoshop file of this label and make changes to the Photoshop file itself, and then we wrap it around the product. So it's not like it's not floating around on the white background. So we try to either make changes to the actual product packaging or the label, or if, for example, let's say you're selling a sofa where there's no product packaging, I would try to maybe get a cushion and engrave the product into the cushion itself. So try to not make it look obvious or floating or like fake. Try to make it look real, put some effort, and it should be accepted. That's category to category. Many categories they can accept models as long as it's still in the white background. If the background is still white and you can show models, that's totally fine. In some categories, you can show lifestyle images as well. That's perfectly fine. So it really depends from category to category. If Amazon doesn't accept, maybe try again. If it still doesn't accept, make some changes and try again.
Well, how long do you think we need?
That's another great question. So I have like multiple layers: product opinion first, and then the managed experiment. When it comes to managed experiment, it's either 4 weeks minimum or 10,000 sessions, right? So sometimes if 10,000 sessions are complete, you can cut the experiment in like maybe 2 weeks, 10 days, whenever you want. But that's our minimum rule. All right, yeah. My time's up. Thank you so much, guys. If you want to book a call, there's a QR code or go to this video. Thank you.